The following is a recorded statement from a factory worker. In order to protect their identity, the words are read by the artist and the name of the company has been consciously omitted. The duration of this statement is 5 minutes and 33 seconds. This is an admission of my impotence and complicity in an industry which should be beyond the vulgarity of capital, the exploitation of labour and consumers. Yet the opposite is in fact the case. I am guilty of all that follows, and I have been implicit in its maintenance. I started working for the company over 10 years ago. At that point I was young, naive and ideological. I believed in the value of the work the company carried out, and that the products the company made were vital, making a positive, enriching contribution to society. Externally, the company seemed to be part of the public sector. The truth of the matter is the company straddles a thin line between a public service and a limited company. At the outset, my naivety was so great. I was blissfully unaware of the company's status as anything other than a public service, to the extent that I was confident that this was a social project I wanted to contribute to. I work at the coalface, so to speak, at the start of a production line which moulds variable economic units. Each of these units has the potential to become a high-value unit further down the production process as value is added. The highest value units are those that progress through every stage of the production line. There is such a focus on the conversion of low-value economic units into high-value units that this causes a much greater quantity of raw material being brought into all sections of the moulding and finishing process in order to counteract attrition. The value that is created in these units is not quantifiable by monetary means. However, the company, under instruction, has found a way of turning the immeasurable and priceless into the quantifiable and costable. There is in fact an ambiguous structural position pertaining to the products themselves, as they are both commodities and consumers. As the months turned into years, my belief in what my fellow workers and I were producing gradually eroded. The more I learned of the company's inner workings and its developing business rhetoric, the more disillusioned and skeptical I became. It must be made clear that these problems are systemic and go beyond this company, incorporating all areas of what were previously public services and that are now being left to fend for themselves. This is a direct result of the reduction in subsidies and a belief widely held in other industries that any problems can be solved by the whims and flows of the market itself. Yet the market within which this company now operates is insatiable. It demands a constant expansion of traditional catchment areas, which can only be described as a growth fetish. A fetish which is born out of a necessity to continually find new sources of consumers, willing to part with thousands and thousands of pounds. The result of which is not a system that works, but to those on the inside, one which is inherently dysfunctional. Yet the cost of presenting the opposite, an industry that is still closely aligned to public service and functioning well, comes at a high price. Quality deteriorates, mistakes are made and concealed. The system's operation is defined by the statistical numbers it internally creates to justify the existence of itself and the existence of individual production lines, and statistics that are used by those further up the food chain to present a public-facing image of the company. The reliance on statistical figures such as success, achievement, retention, and conversion rates determines the level of investment production lines and companies themselves receive. Thus, the pressure to present favourable figures is immense and is an ongoing aspect of the working environment. It is an annual exercise with built-in periodical reports of the then status of these bureaucratically defined figures in relation to benchmark targets. This can only have an impact on the quality of the work and products produced. These statistics or key performance indicators are all the big other cares about. Production is surveyed further up the food chain by these figures. These statistics are used to present a reality of the situation in an unmediated way. This is simply not the case. Figures are massaged to present the right image to those in control, both within the company and beyond to regulatory bodies. They are used to present a healthy public image of the company within the sector to our competitors and potential commodity consumers. When the scale of production increases, working conditions deteriorate, which leads to a pressured and overworked environment. An environment that serves to constantly maintain the healthy public-facing image of the company. I have decided to speak out about the problems within this company and sector because I believe that this is an area that should not be monetized to the extent it has become. I believe that this industry provides a public service that should be open to all citizens, not simply those that can afford it, because this only serves to entrench further the social gap caused by inequality.